Okay, we're back, everybody. We had a little bit of a technical problem, but come on back because we are back with Michell Smith, and we're talking about, being a badass woman in business and what that might look like as you're leaving corporate culture, and how important it is to be really clear about what it is that you want, or how you, not what you want, but how do you want to feel when you're there. And so you do the same kind of process in corporate culture, this notion of how would you like to feel, but then you need a roadmap to get there.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right, because we hesitate when we don't have complete assurance. And so most of us, this is where we stagnate. We're in the lack of clarity that's strong enough in order to be persuasive for us to make an internal decision.
Lack of clarity.
Yes.
We are lost in a lack of clarity that's strong enough in order to be persuasive.
With ourselves.
Yeah. It starts with us, okay? Yeah. It starts with us.
Yeah.
And that's what's really, a lot of people think, well, someone is going to have to give us the opportunity. No, we got to really, create our own opportunities. I really believe that.
Yes.
Sometimes we're lucky that someone will give us the opportunity, but I don't believe there's any shortcuts.
No, I agree with you. I
don't believe there's any shortcuts.
And before we got cut off in the last
video, good.
We were talking about how we have an abusive relationship with our careers.
Oh, yes, that's where we started.
Yes.
Thank you. Good job.
Yes,
good way to catch that train. Yes,
no
okay.
And so the point being that so many of us did grow up with this assertion into what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And still today, that's a really strong question that we ask children. And I think it's interesting that we ask the same question.
Yes.
That is the question that perhaps some of us made a decision about what we wanted to be when we grew up, and then all of a sudden, after being that for 5 or 6 years, we realized that it was not what we wanted to do when we grew up, so we got it wrong, right? And there's this self-defeating kind of activity that occurs, or this mind space that starts to happen,
right?
And that's for us to expect that we know what we want to do 10 years from now, right now, about practically anything, means that we also accept that we're not going to grow, we're not going to learn, we're not going to evolve, we're not going to change in any way or shape or form. It's a ridiculous concept.
Right.
But we still do ask children, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
As opposed to, what are all of the things you would like to try when you grow up, and which one first?
Yeah.
So that they start to have this understanding that their life is going to be this, consistent experience in figuring out what they really love to do. And then they build in a model of responsibility so that financially they're doing things in a way that builds on top of each other. But so we do have this abusive relationship with our work, in that we do expect how we're going to feel compensated to ourselves, how we're going to feel good about who we are, predominantly to come from our success in our careers. And that is too much pressure to put on any one kind of inroad in our lives, particularly when we don't have full ability to make all of the decisions to let our path be completely smooth, right? So it's also about lighting up other things in your life. I had a client who was considering
lighting up other things in your life, not just career, but other aspects.
Right, yes. Right. Like the old ideology that work was what you did in order to put money on the table, so that then you could spend time with your family. There's this fantastic story. It's a story about the fisherman. Have you heard it?
Keep going.
Okay. It's a story about the fisherman, and it's to have the wisdom of the fisherman. So there's a fisherman on the east coast of Canada, and he has 5 ships that go out and they fish, and they are very successful. And he's got a team of maybe 10 guys that work for him, and they are happy, and they catch so much fish when they go out these 2 days a week that he spends the rest of the week with his wife, with his children, playing on the beach, having fires, having great dinners, telling stories, going for hikes, and really enjoying and loving his life. Well, this businessman comes from another country and sees how good he is at what he's doing, and he sits down with them and says, oh my gosh, we can do so much bigger. We can do so much better.
Yeah.
And he tells him, we're going to invest. We're going to get you 100 ships. We're then going to put out there, 500 men. We're going to, we're going to fish and we're going to multiply your income by an insane percentage. And we're going to supply fish to the entire world. And you're going to be the man that fishes. And he does this whole sales pitch. And the man's like, that sounds fantastic. He's like, but it's going to be a lot more work than what you're currently doing, but it'll all be worth it. It'll all be worth it. He's like, okay, well, what will this mean for my life? What will this do? He says, well, when we're done, then you'll get to relax. He's like, and do what? He's like, Spend time with your wife.
Family.
Spend time with your kids. Play on the beach. Go for a hike. And so the fisherman was wise enough to look at this man and say, I have that already. Right? I don't need your definition of success.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really important for us to just have a relationship with the question of how do I define success?
Mm-hmm.
And to ask that question on an ongoing basis as it's allowed to move and change as we have different perceptions.
So 2 questions we're having the viewers ask themselves. One is, how would I like to feel?
Yes.
How would I like to feel when I'm in that experience that I imagine myself to be in? And number 2, how do I define success?
Yes.
And, I have to tell you, I work with people who obviously are in life transition. And the one thing that I notice that people experience depression and anxiety over is the fact that life is not going according to plan. Life is not going according to plan. And I often talk about, tell me what your plan was. Let's do the plan, what the plan was. Around 21 years old or 19 years old in grade 12, they started to have their plan. And these are very ambitious people who are definitely A-type personalities who, end up in really, really big jobs, and maybe something happened. The job went, the company changed, people got let go. So, boom, a big break in their life, a big surprise in their life, and the big difficulty navigating and through that experience is a lack of the ability to be flexible while focused. I really feel that's so important, is be flexible while focused. You need your focus, but you need to bob and weave through the things of life. And one thing I do know is that I work with so many people who have these massive surprises. Either their health can't handle what you call the abusive relationship with their work, their health can't handle it, or, the company changed and let go of them, or something happened that they needed to leave the situation. And so the plan that was very well set, I will do this job, then I will do this job, then I will buy this real estate, then I will do this experience, and it doesn't happen, the depression sets in. And so I want people to understand that, focus while flexible. And so three tools we're giving people a little bit, so that you can really understand that you can start to do the work on your own. That you can ask yourself, how do I want to feel? Ask yourself, how do I define success? And look to build the ability to be focused and flexible at the same time. The way life evolves.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
No, I totally agree. I think one of the biggest gifts you can also give yourself is give yourself permission to not know and permission to be wrong. Because I find
not shame yourself in that wrongness or whatever, in that thing, that misstep.
Yeah, because I find that's the derailment, right? So when something, like, to be flexible means that something's going to come up.
Yeah.
That one of the biggest keys of this system, it's called the 6 degrees of separation. It's the 6 things, the 6 reasons why the most successful entrepreneurs, leaders, separate themselves from everybody else, right? There's 6 different ways in measurements.
Okay.
One of them pertains to your ability to not lose time because you lose your attitude.
Not lose time because you lose your attitude. In other words, maintain a good attitude. Is that what you're saying?
100%.
Maintain your positive disposition, your attitude.
Yeah, but be able to maintain the drive and the forward motion
amazing.
without having to take the hit of whatever just went wrong and then have an explosion about it.
That's
or
right.
to give power to that, as opposed to simply looking at it and, okay, it can be like disastrous, but you're like, okay,
what
do
can we
do?
learn?
Or
So
just,
good
what
questions.
do?
What do we do? What can we learn?
Yeah.
Navigate with it. Don't
Pivot.
just live it.
I said pivot.
Pivot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Pivot.
Yeah.
So that means pivot means flexible. And I mean, I got to tell you, I it takes me back to a while ago. I worked with someone who was a terrific individual, and just at the top pinnacle, A guy, super amazing, A group guy. And then, what happened is his team, the leader of his team, decided we're going to move to a different corporation. We're going to do money somewhere else.
Yeah.
We're not going to do it here anymore. We're going to take all our clients, big risk, big gamble, but we're doing it. And this fellow ended up in my office years ago because he really, really, he just couldn't accept that this change was happening. His battle cry, his mantra was, this is not what I planned. This was not what I planned. I'm like, plans change.
Yeah.
Plans change. And what you're saying is truly successful people, truly badass business people, are able to pivot with change.
Absolutely.
And they're able to not lose their attitude while doing it.
Absolutely.
Oh,
100%.
I think that's gold, everybody. Write that down. That's incredible.
And I think that there's also another impeccable lesson, and that is that we have this innate relationship with the idea of control.
Right.
Where we feel good if we have it, the right degree of it in our life, and we feel disempowered when we don't.
So that's like a codependent relationship with control.
Yes.
C.
Absolutely.
Codependent relationship with control.
Yes.
Yes.
And so, to me, being able to escape that madness means building a new relationship with the idea of control. Control is something that is great when we're talking about being able to have a remote control. I can control, something technologically.
Easily,
But when it comes to anything that is alive, there is no control. Because there's fight in even just the suggestion of that.
Right.
Right? As opposed to having influence. And so it becomes a measurement of how much influence do I have over this scenario. Mm-hmm. Do I have enough influence to be able to have the scenario go the way that I want it to? If the answer is no, you accept that that's a truth. You don't fight for control.
Right.
You accept that that's a truth and then make a decision directionally if you would like to still stay or if you would like to move somewhere.
Right.
And just having a relationship with influence, again, gives you permission to be able to be more flexible, stay focused on what you want to accomplish. But that also was a phenomenal tool in having your mind not go into that chaos of fight or being mad about something that's not in my control. None of it is.
So what we're talking about is some mind discipline.
Yes.
We're really talking about some thought discipline
and some choices.
Some choice, but it's really basically
choices to see things a certain way.
Yes.
That give you the ability to still be the person in the driver's seat. You're not at the whim of someone else's unrelenting decision-making. Every single thing we do is a choice.
Everything. And people don't actually say, well, my brain just thought that way. My brain just thinks that way. No. You know that a split second before you have that thought, you actually chose that thought. And I'm not here to blame you. I'm here to have you understand that you have the power to be in charge of your thinking.
Yes.
And our brain is like Teflon to positivity. My speaker the other day, Mike McConnell, said he's got a thing called the yoga of divorce, and he said our brain is like Teflon to positivity and like Velcro to positivity. So our brain really aligns with negativity much easier than we align to positivity. But that does not mean our brain is a neural pathway elegant machine that we can manufacture neural pathways that are guided toward positivity. So you can wire your brain for positivity, except for the fact that you need to work at that. You don't have to work at wiring your brain for negativity. We just have that and the biology for that is basically our forefathers, our primitive forefathers. We have the limbic system, which is the part of our brain that is fight, flight, freeze, and essentially we just need to survive. So our primitive forefathers needed to think, oh, what bad situation can happen here so I can be ready for it. Well, we're not doing that today. Today it's a lot easier to live than it did thousands of years ago. Mm-hmm. So you can wire your brain for positivity, but it requires that you do battle with the thing that it comes most naturally, which is negativity and what if and anxiety and fear and all of that stuff.
One of the best tools that I learned when I was studying this to learn how to be able to gain more navigational authority over myself when I was a teenager was learning about emotions. And the tool that I had to practice was learning how to turn down my emotional volume.
Okay.
Because when I was not yet in the driver's seat most of the time to make the determination of which emotion I wanted to be the host emotion, that was, my home base.
Yeah.
When it was still at the whim of reactionary, uncontrolled, right? It's like I totally relate it to when I was learning how to navigate and begin to have emotional influence over the state that I felt. So we're talking about being more positive.
That's right.
Having a longer fuse, not like snapping.
So turning down the volume to the reactivity.
Turning down the volume so that you stop the explosion. so that you can still remain calm to make a decision, and then either switch the wheel like I do. I look at it like a wheel.
Yeah.
So you can move the wheel and then instead recruit for that emotion. Look for evidence for the things that are going to feed this emotion. Because to me it has to be science-based. I'm not somebody who's just like, oh, let's all be positive.
No.
Because it doesn't work.
You
right?
need a system.
And it needs to actually be evidence-based.
Yeah.
Right. It's about actually seeing things more positively because they actually are more positive.
Right.
Yes.
Now, so we've given you some tools. I'm going to post this I'm going to try and string the 2 videos together because we got kind of cut off, but that's okay. S happens. and I want to just recap on some of the things that we talked about, which is create focus while flexible, create a little bit of a roadmap.
Gaining clarity, making decisions about what it is that you'd like your life to look like. It doesn't have to follow the ideals of historical decision making. Those were predetermined by people that were born way before we were. Is that the model of what life is supposed to look like? Like, truly, we have this beautiful planet that we have the opportunity to inhabit. Why do we spend all of it isolated in our own little tiny places of living? So many people live in isolation.
Right.
I don't mean to go off track, but I mean, like, truly, we get to create whatever reality we want in today's world. It doesn't have to follow the rules that historically said this is what life should look like.
Right.
And what if phenomenal gift to still be in the process of having authority to learn how to design that.
And being a badass in business, I would say being a badass businesswoman is I think what you're saying is, have the courage to carve your own path.
Yes. While
at the same time, not alienating the mainstream corporate culture either. It's having the ability to be in both.
100%, and to make the decision on what type of revenue stream do you need in order for you to have the life experience that you truly desire to have, and then having the confidence and developing the skill set to be able to do so.
Skill set,
right, so that you do have something transactionally that people are interested in purchasing, because really that's the game of business. If you have something that people are interested in purchasing, they're going to give you the money in order to purchase that, whatever that happens to be, right?
At our last video, you said deliver.
Yes.
No matter what, deliver.
Absolutely.
So, and that doesn't mean pressure. That means study what you need to study, do the homework you need to do, work your mind state that you're not at the mercy of your attitude and the mercy of your fear and the mercy of your moods. Work on that. That's possible.
Yes.
And that you have control over.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's the biggest gift, is that the work ethic that you can have applied to whatever it is that you're looking to have as the outcome. Is something that will serve you, far beyond.
And another thing I would say, and let me hear what you think, another tool for badass business, I would say is, walk your talk. Be responsible for yourself. Don't blame. Take responsibility. Someone might have harmed you. Someone might have hurt you, but you're responsible for your reactions and how you cope with that. And learn how to communicate in a positive, effective way. I see so many people operating out of the rebellious part of themselves, operating out of the part, it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you anywhere. Operate from the balanced adult. Learn what the balanced adult. I can't tell you how many people come into my office and we do this, we change their attitude. We get them out of rebellion, F-U energy into I'm in charge of my life, and they come to the table with that badass attitude. And guess what? They're successful every time.
Absolutely.
Every time.
Yeah.
They just change how you speak. Change how you enter a room energetically. You're in charge of that. That's what makes you a badass businesswoman.
Yes,
I believe.
Oh no, I totally agree. When you get and also there's a percentage of self-approval, like doing the work so that you trust who you are.
Nice.
You trust what you deliver.
Nice.
You know that if you give your word, you're going to make sure
that
you are your word.
Yes.
There is no integral issues whatsoever, because that gives you the permission to walk into the room, regardless of who else is there. You're proud that you are, and it's not in a way that takes away or disrespects anybody else. It's not an I'm better than them. It's a you are okay, no matter who else is there, because you are okay.
It's so powerful. And to me, it's not about, when I hear all these things that we're talking about, these are the things these are the kinds of people that people want to work with. These are the kinds of people that people want to buy from.
Right.
Because they inspire trust.
Yep.
Because they inspire confidence. Because they inspire positivity. Because they inspire people. They really want to be around you when you're someone who doesn't blame or come to the table with an attitude or come to the table. They really want to be around you. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's what makes for a really awesome business person. Mm-hmm. No matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Totally. Because, hey, like business relationships are simply relationships where now we're involving money.
Okay, let's just say that again and slowly, because I think that's fundamental.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Business relationships, all they are is relationships that are involving money.
That's right. And so you want to do healthy relationships.
Yes, all of the same normal relationship instincts apply.
Right.
Right? Everybody loves to be in relationships where they feel seen, where they feel heard, where they feel respected,
safe,
where they feel rewarded.
Yeah.
Right? Those are fundamental principles.
Wonderful.
And so to be able to put those on stage in your life, no matter where we're talking, personal life, business, it will have cascading effects of, scalability, because those are the things that people feel when they're with you, whether they're involved from a financial perspective or not. Right.
That is so powerful. We have a hawk that's flying out here outside my window on the 20th floor. And you know what the hawk energy is about?
No.
Hawk energy, hawk medicine is about paying attention to the messages of life. And I think being a badass business person is you need to pay attention to what life is showing you. To me, the best way to navigate life is to go, oh, that was shown to me. Oh, that was shown to me. Oh, that was shown. Pay attention. Be present. Be aware. Mm-hmm. And to me, these are not rocket science concepts, but they require work on yourself. Mm-hmm. They require that you work on yourself, and it require that you be very, very, like yourself. Not just love yourself, like yourself. Appreciate yourself. Mm-hmm. And, that really that walks into a room an hour before you walked into a room. The self-appreciation mm-hmm. and the self-like really, really walks into a room very, 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 very many, many hours before you've actually walked into a room. Mm-hmm. Last messages that we want to give folks about being a badass business person. We've done some really good nuggets. We've done some very good nuggets.
Yeah, to me, those are sort of the fundamentals. Yeah. It does. It comes back down to how clear are you about what it is that you'd like to accomplish?
That's
what
right.
are you working towards? How well do you protect the relationships that you have? And
yes.
how well do you treat the relationships that you have? What's your work ethic like?
What's your work ethic?
Yeah,
yes.
and to take a look at any challenge in front of you as something that you have the ability to learn or navigate. Right? We are brilliant computation machines that did not come with all of the files already loaded.
That's right.
It's up to us to be able to load them.
Right.
But,
and you're in charge of what goes in.
Yes, and I truly believe there is nothing that we cannot learn. There is nothing that we cannot learn. What is the difference between the person who learned how to be able to build the CN Tower, from taking into consideration things like the Coriolis effect? Have you heard about this?
Go.
So the Coriolis effect simply means that there are forces applied based upon the fact that we are on planet Earth, which has gravity and a rotation. So these things are applied as the structure is tall. They have an influence over the engineering so that the building doesn't twist the taller it gets. Right? Those are pretty tough obstacles to try to come across. They learned how to do that. We have buildings that stand regardless of this issue. What's the difference between the people that figured that out and anything that is what you aspire to create in your lifetime?
Well, there's no difference.
That's right.
The one difference is they put in tons of effort.
And they
and
iterated.
They studied.
And they probably had lots of things not work.
That's right.
Right, but it's a persistent commitment to whatever it is. What's the clarity on what's the goal?
What you just said.
Yeah.
A persistent commitment. Mm-hmm. A persistent commitment.
Yes.
And don't give up. Don't give up. That's just don't have a tantrum, or have a tantrum and then move on.
Right. But also
have a tantrum but then move on.
And also, I think having a relationship with the fact that we don't know what we don't know. Right. We were not born with this information.
Right.
But it is up to us to be able to have the internal fortitude to survive the creation of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That is just, we're gonna have to do a number 3 at some point.
Yes, and I won't come straight from yoga and oh my gosh.
You're so cute.
So
okay, you need to not do that.
There you go.
She's adorable.
Is he okay?
And not only adorable, but really, really awesome. Hi, Ravi. So I would say that you have in this video, I'm going to proliferate this video widely. The second video, I think, is the one that really, we got the punch of lots of info there for badass business people. And I just want you to understand that business is nothing different from being attuned to a really strong person within yourself. When you're a strong person within yourself and you do the work to be that strong person within yourself and to be healthy and to work with positivity in your brain and all the things that Michelle, that's what makes people want to be doing business with you. Mm-hmm. That's what people that's what makes you, in my opinion, successful, because you have set yourself up to be able to be in those relationships in positive ways.
Yeah. What I would love to talk about in our next video is that one of the most contingent factors of being in business is your commitment to learn how to sell. How to be able to be successful at sales.
And everyone has trouble with that.
Right, but
a lot of people do.
And how important...
But is it sales?
Well, it's sales and marketing, but mostly...
Isn't it relationship building?
Well, so yes. So I'd like to dive in and talk about that, because I know that one of the biggest challenges that people sometimes face is that they have a really great hobby.
Yeah.
Because they're doing a ton of work, but the revenue's not coming in.
Right.
Right? And business, the sales is the defining factor.
Right.
So how do we get over that navigational hurdle so that we do have sales coming in? Because that's a big game changer in the world of entrepreneurship, as well as being able to advocate for yourself inside of corporate so that you do get the raise, so that you do get the job, so that you do become good at selling yourself.
But wouldn't you say that the selling yourself starts with, you first have to sell yourself to yourself?
Oh, you have to be sold.
You have to be sold on self first. And that means you got to do the work prior on self. Mm-hmm. And then you can start to do the other.
Yeah, other people will be able to see clearly what you already do see.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. So that's not selling. I get this thing around, is that really selling, or is that just literally presenting as...
And so this is why I want to talk about it, because it's exactly the right thing.
Yeah.
So many times people come to me for sales training and they all want to go through the tactical negotiation externally.
Right.
When the truth is, small things like the way that you carry yourself, the way that you actually are present with people.
That's right.
The permission that whether or not there's a value match or not is the deciding factor. I'm not going to attempt to convince you. Ever.
There is no convincing in sales.
Ever. Not in
anyone who tries to convince people to buy something, do something, I don't know. I don't want to buy from.
Right, and that's the kind of the one school of sales training that is, I think, a ridiculous and not as successful way to be able to create phenomenal levels of sales success when you simply do it in a very authentic, honest, easy, peaceful, wonderful way.
Yeah.
Right.
And that requires that you have trust that there are many, many, many people. So if one person goes away, that's okay. It's okay that one person goes. That's just, you just weren't a match in that moment. Yeah, but there's so many other people that may be a match to you again. So just I say to people all the time when I'm coaching them, be willing to let go. It's okay to let go.
Yeah.
Let go. It's okay. You don't have to hold on.
Yeah.
Let go. There's no desperation needed. Don't bring the energy of desperation to the table. Bring the energy of, I know the value of what I'm bringing. You and I may not be in this moment a match, but it's okay that we're not a match, because guess what? There's going to be all these other people that are a match.
Yeah.
And be trusting of that. The universe is an abundant place. Mm-hmm. The universe is an abundant place. And you know what? There's more than enough success. There's more than enough goods and money and all kinds of things for everyone. So have the courage to trust and let go. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to end, but we could go on. All right, everybody. I just want to say, firstly, how can people find you, Michelle?
My website, michellsmith.com.
michellsmith.com. And also, how can they find you on Facebook?
Michelle Smith.
Okay, but also there's a group or two, She the Mighty.
Oh, She the Mighty. And She the Mighty, we will be expanding. We're still working on some of the infrastructure behind that website to allow the school to be fully launched. But She the Mighty is something that you're going to hear a lot about starting this summer.
What's the book that you've written that you want to tell people about?
The first book is called The 6 Questions.
Yes.
And that talks about clarity, commitment, confidence, conviction, challenge, right? Being able to...
And they can get it on your website?
Yes, and Amazon, any bookstore.
Okay, fantastic. So, so there's a great book that you can purchase. And so MichellSmith.com without an E at the end of the Michelle. And you can find me at visualizationworks.com. Hop on over to my YouTube channel, which is Ask Victoria, and you can get my books, my online programs, and man, have a fantastic day. This was an amazing conversation. I just want to wish everyone to be their own badass. All right. Have a brilliant day. Bye, everybody.